Hey, welcome. Mbangwa Media here, and I think I've left them. I say the best for last because they, they've won it so many times, right? They're just serial winners. There'll be, people who don't like the sound of that, but it's true. It's true. Australia, they just keep winning this thing. It's like it's theirs. So, are they going to get to the final four? It's tough to bet against them. Very tough, yeah. Wouldn't be surprised if they were there. Um, you look through their team, they've got some experience. I think the addition of Marnus Labuschagne is a good addition because you need somebody to hold that batting lineup together, and I think every team requires that. So him and Steve Smith, um, yeah, I think they'll do decently, and it's also about playing spin. Can they play spin? I think that is their challenge actually for all their players. Well, the experienced ones can, and have done in times past. There'll be a great difficulty when faced with really good spinners. For the rest, who are having to one curb their enthusiasm and aggression that they're used to, and look to try and batter a long time, and from over 10 to over 35, maybe even over 40 is a decent amount of time, and you can kind of run into some trouble should you go too aggressively, particularly with the field out as you try and dominate that middle period. They've shown, and I saw Australia and South Africa recently before turning up here, before playing against India here. They played the 5 1 days there, and they look like right up at the top of the order. What they're looking to do is go really hard while the two balls are still hard and new, and the pitch is still fresh, because they're aware of what the difficulty will be in the middle of the game. That said, it's kind of high risk in the way that they went about it. Perhaps they'll temper that just a little bit, so that they can ensure that they have enough resource right at the back end, to then cash in and get to what is a good score, a big score, rather than kind of lose a whole lot at the front and then put pressure on those in the middle. The key men in their side are kind of the usual suspects. I say kind of. Travis Head in the squad and with them, but not really going to be able to participate for some time. And the hope is that he'll recover really quickly from that broken hand. David Warner, key man, at the top of the order. They need him to fire, seemingly finding some sort of form, getting some runs before turning up here. I think Glenn Maxwell, important. He'll look to press and to be aggressive and to take on spin, particularly, so that they can dominate the middle part of the game. Marcus Stoinis, Cameron Green, Mitchell Marsh, are all seeming all-rounders and big hitters. And I don't know that they can play all three of those together. They might well do, in sort of feeling that the guys are in the team as batters more than they are as all-rounders, just that their overs are going to be available to them, and then they look to still go ahead and pick their bowling lineup and perhaps be able to go one short with an extra batter. Maybe an extra batter, maybe Inglis as well as Carey play together, just because you've got all these all-rounders, and you can then have the luxury of picking one more player, as it were. In terms of their spin, Adam Zampa is going to have to carry the can. He's going to have to do well in this tournament if they are to do well, because spin will play a part, has to play a part, and as we go on further and further in the tournament, it will play a bigger and bigger part. And so Zampa is a class operator, and you expect that he'll do decently. But who's to help him? Because as you look down the list, you're sort of going, well, actually it's a big miss to not have Travis Head, because he was the one who was going to bowl some offies and bowls them decently. It now goes to Glenn Maxwell and says 2 of those as the spinners. Will we see Steve Smith bowl some leggies? And Marnus Labuschagne, will they be used? I don't know. I don't know if the Australians will go that route. Starc, Hazlewood, who else am I thinking of? Cummins, the captain, of course. They must play a role. Do they play 2 of those 3? Do they play all 3 of those? I'm inclined to think that it'll be kind of 2 of those with all those other all-rounders, and they have to kind of make their pick who they leave out each time. Otherwise, it's a bit pace-heavy in conditions that look like they're going to be kind of shifted towards the spin. Always a good side. I'm very interested in seeing them against the spin and those big hitters in the middle of the game, whether they can keep going, whether they can sustain in the middle period. If it's an onslaught they want to put on, can they put it on for a period of time? Or do they perish trying to go too hard in the middle of the game and not able to bat through those 30 overs and trying to set it up for the back end? Fascinating. But yeah, always eyes are on the telly when these guys play, and there'll be many that turn up at the stadiums as well. And when they play the host team, yes, and it doesn't really matter who they play. The games they play in tend to be pretty exciting to watch. So let's see how Australia go. I don't fancy them for it this time, and maybe that riles them if any of them kind of see this. But yeah, I'm not sure. It's as if something's not quite right with them, and I don't know what that is. But I don't quite fancy them this time. Of course, this is just kind of speaking off the cuff, and having kind of watched them, seen them in South Africa, as I say, and assessed how they've sort of gone about things. You never know. Teams very often prove many of us very